from pioneers that came over from Europe.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, what's your full name?
Flossie May Martin.
Flossie May Martin.
Mm-hmm. My father was Irish and my mother was French. That's a great combination.
What was your father's name?
Martin.
What's his first name?
David Graham Martin.
Okay.
And my mother's maiden name was Baskerville. She was the French one. Her father came over from France and my father from Ireland. So I have an awful mixture.
What was your mother's first name?
Anne Baskerville.
When's your birthday?
May the 11th, 1888.
And where were you born?
I was born in Carroll County, Iowa.
Carroll County, Iowa?
Yeah, and that's quite central, not northwest of Des Moines.
Mm-hmm. Were you born on a farm?
Yes, pioneer. My father owned it the first after the Indians, and there was an Indian settlement not too far from us.
What kind of Indians were they?
I ought to know that. Name some of the common tribes.
Well, in that part,
Not P, see, might begin with P or B or.
I'm trying to think. Up in Iowa, I'm not sure. Well, there's the Iowa Indians.
No, there's another name. Oh well.
Okay.
They had a settlement not too. I was from Carroll County, and Carroll was also the county seat. And they had a settlement not too far from there. We used to see them on the street very often.
Can you describe the Indians?
Oh no! Don't ask anybody that lives in Oklahoma. Don't ask an Iowa person to describe the Indians in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I was in the high school here, but
Yeah. On the farm, what kind of chores did you do as a child?
not many because my father was a real good farmer, milked cows, and I saw my first automobile on that farm in Iowa.
What kind was it?
Real. An old gentleman that lived near us drove his new reel. My, were we excited.
What year was that?
Well, I don't know. It was the latter part of the 1800s.
Yeah. When did you start to school?
Well, I was born in 1888. I suppose I started about 1892, maybe, or somewhere along
There in Carroll County?
in a country school.
What was the name of it?
Carroll County it was, but there wasn't any special name. It was a public school.
Yeah.
We lived a mile, and I walked it twice a day as long as I was going to country school. Then when I finished there, I drove a horse back and forth every day to the town of Carroll, which was the county seat, and went to high school down there.
Do you remember your first teacher's name?
Well, I think it was Graham.
Do you remember when the Spanish-American War started?
Yes. I remember that war. Not sure about the starting of it.
Tell me what you remember about the war, what you've heard.
Well, I can't tell you that, sir. You know, we didn't have daily papers then. We had a weekly paper, the Carroll County Herald. And of course the mail was delivered by a mail carrier who drove a horse and buggy. And we were 4 miles from Carroll, and I used to ride back and forth with him some to school.
Was there a big celebration in Carroll County when the war ended?
No, I don't remember that there was. Now, which war would that be?
The Spanish-American War, the 1899.
Well, no, I don't remember. I can't say I remember a big celebration. I ought to, though. That's been a long time, mister.
It certainly has. When did you go to college?
Oh, heavens. Well, I graduated from college in 1912, I think.
From Wisconsin?
No, from Cole College in Cedar Rapids. It's a Presbyterian school. And then I did graduate work at the University of Wisconsin.
What did you study at Cole College?
Oh, just a general college course.
Did you live on campus in a dormitory?
Yeah, I lived in a dormitory.
Which dormitory did you live in?
Oh, mister. If it had, I can remember the dormitory plainly, but I can't remember any special name. Cole College. Oh, Cole College. Cole. Well, I don't remember anything but Cole College. That was a school.
How many students were going there?
Oh, I should think about 400 maybe. But that's not.
What did you study?
Latin. I was a Latin major, and I was pretty good in it, if I say it myself.
Who was head of the school?
Oh, I don't believe I can tell you. No, sir, I don't remember.
Okay. And then when did you go to the University of Wisconsin?
When? Oh, I'd have to, it was just before I came down here, because they wrote up there for a teacher. And that was in I came down here in 1928, but I did some teaching between the time I finished college and the time I came down here.
Where did you teach?
English.
Where?
So you must think I have a real good mind. No, I don't. Honestly, it was at it was in some town around there. It might have been Carroll. I'm not sure of that.
And at the University of Wisconsin, what did you study?
What did I do?
What did you study in graduate school?
Library work. That's what I went there for.
Okay.
Library science.
When did you get your degree?
When? Well, I'm going to say 1921, but honestly, I couldn't be too sure. It was in the early 1920s.
And
What are you going to do with all this stuff?
Tell me why you decided to come to Tulsa.
That's what my mother said. Well, I honestly, I don't know. Well, I told you that the school board here wrote to the University of Wisconsin for a teacher to head the high school. I mean for a librarian to head the high school. And they selected me and the friend that I was living with up there. She came down to teach French in one of the high schools, and I took the library, Central Library. Not Central, but the center school.
Was it
The
called?
library at Central High School.
Yeah.
It wasn't a school library at all. I mean, it wasn't a city library, it was a school.
You say it wasn't a school library?
Yes, it was a school library.
Mm-hmm. And you came here in 1928.
That's right.
You come by train?
We probably drove because I was a very enthusiastic driver, and this friend of mine also, and we drove our cars down from Iowa through Kansas City, and I had a cousin living in Kansas City, and an engineer, and he met us at the edge of the city and took us through Kansas City down to this side of it.
What was your first impression of Tulsa?
Oh, I thought it was a wonderful place, and it is a wonderful place. I still think so, and that was in '28, which was some time ago.
Mm-hmm. How large was Tulsa in 1928?
How large was it then?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know. I can't tell you. Of course, it's grown like everything since then. There was just one big central high school then, and
Where
now
was it
there's-
located, Central High School?
where is it?
Yes.
Well, it's right in the heart of the city, but it isn't there now. That's a business high. Central High School was closed a few years ago, and now it's way out near the Gilchrist Museum. You know where that is?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's where the news. I've never taught out there. I always taught in the downtown.
Yeah. What was the address downtown?
Well, it's just, I can't give you, it's about, you know where the Presbyterian church is down there?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's on the corner of the block, and then just diagonally across the adjoining block was Central High School. It's a business place now, a brick building. And that's the year that I quit because I didn't want to, of course I wasn't going clear out to Gilchrist, that's an awful long ways away.
Yeah. How many students were at Central in 1928?
I don't know, but it was an immense school. I can't tell you how many.
Where did you first live when you came to Tulsa?
Well, we lived down here. It was an address. This is the one that comes to mind, but it might not be right at all. 1968 East Utica. But that's just popped into my mind. I don't know. I think it was right near Utica. And you know where that is?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it was down almost to Peoria on Utica.
Can you describe downtown Tulsa in 1928? What was
Oh, no.
downtown like?
No, I can't describe it.
Yeah. What were some of the major stores at that time in Tulsa?
Well, the two main stores that are there now were there. You tell me their names. Oh, isn't it? Well, you know, I'm getting pretty old. There are two big drugstores, and of course there was a Sears store. Brown Duncan's, I guess that was the name of one of them, Brown Duncan's.
Did you ever hear any stories about the big race riot in 1921?
Yes, we did. The Negroes were mixed up in it.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I don't, it was just about the time that we came to Tulsa that we heard about it. I helped organize the Will Rogers High School here. And I also went out to oversee Daniel Webster High School. I was asked something about the Negro High School, but I can't remember that I ever did anything about them.
What did you do to help organize Will Rogers?
Hmm?
What did you do to help organize Will Rogers?
Well, you know where it is, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was a librarian at Central, and all I did was to go out and help organize the library, that's all.
How was the library system set up in 1928? What catalog system did you use?
Dewey.
Dewey? How many books in the library at that
Oh,
time?
mister, have you no limit? We had a big library at Central. I don't know about,
So you organized the library at Will Rogers and Webster.
well, I can't, organize is almost too strong a word. I went out there and looked them over and made some suggestions, that's about all.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was the head of the Will Rogers School.
What are some of your favorite memories from being a librarian in Tulsa?
That there weren't any Negroes in the high school. They didn't go to Central or to Will Rogers either.
Tell me, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That was a wonderful school, Central was. It was a big school, because of course it was the only one when I started. Later they built some more. But we had lots of pupils there, and they came from all over the city.
Just give me some reflections on Tulsa. What do you think of Tulsa?
I think it's a wonderful city, I really do. Of course, it's grown like everything since I came in. When did I come in 1928, did I say? I think that's the year I came.
I've heard that Sapulpa is older than Tulsa.
That's what?
That Sapulpa is older than Tulsa? Than the city of Sapulpa?
Oh, Sapulpa. Well, I can't say.
And I just wondered how come Tulsa grew faster than Sapulpa.
I don't know much about Sapulpa.
How long did you work in the library here?
From 28 to 51. 38, 48, that's something over 20 years.
Let me regress just a little bit.
Hmm?
Let me regress just a little bit and talk about World War I.
Or,
1917, 1918.
yeah.
What were you doing then?
Oh, well, aren't those the years I was studying at Wisconsin?
Yes, ma'am.
And then after I left there, I taught a while here and there.
Were there any organized activities to support the war effort at Wisconsin?
No, not that I remember.
Tell me about the Great Depression in Tulsa.
I can't tell you anything about that. This friend, I had a wonderful friend. We attended Wisconsin together. She was a French major. We studied in France together. I mean, she studied and I visited. And in Italy, and we crossed through Spain, and she doesn't live here now. I haven't had a very exciting life, but I think it's been a pretty good one.
I think so too.
I'm sorry that I had to leave my family, but they're all gone now anyway, so.
Why did you decide to become a librarian?
Oh, I was always crazy about books. I don't know any other reason to give. And my mother had been a school teacher, and of course she was interested in books. And I remember even a little library at our country school. We had quite a nice little collection of books at home, too. And I loved it. My favorite books are clear down to Oklahoma. And then I had a home here with a friend. And then when they decided, or somebody decided that I'd live at the manor. Of course, I'm not a Methodist, but that didn't seem to matter. My friends went back to my room and collected the books. And I said, well, I can't read. My sight isn't much good. They didn't care. They put the books there anyway.
That's good.
They can't imagine me without a little bookcase of books somewhere.
What's your favorite book?
Oh, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. Probably most of those books are favorite books. I don't quite see why you're getting this information, but it doesn't amount to much.
Oh, everything's important. Who were some of your favorite students?
Students?
Yeah.
Oh, mister, I don't believe I can. I was trying to think of the name of a boy that was always reading in the library, and then he went to, I think, to Washington, D.C. It's quite a prominent family, but, oh gee, wasn't his father on a store here? I don't know, mister. You expecting a lot from a lady as old as I am.
What about World War II?
What about it? They fought one, did they?
Yes. What did you do during the war?
I didn't do anything different. I had no part in war activities.
Did many of the students...
Where were you during the war?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh, you're a real young man, aren't you?
I was born in 46.
In 46? Why, I was living in Tulsa by that time.
Did many of the students want to leave school to join the Army during the war?
Now say that again.
Did many of the students want to quit high school and join the Army during the war?
No, I don't remember that they did. That's,
When's the last time you went downtown? When was the last time you went downtown?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, it's not too long. I have a friend that took me all around downtown. It's been pretty well reorganized.
I was going to say, how has it changed?
It's changed a lot, and of course, Central High School, well, it isn't there anymore, but it was quite near the downtown section, so I was pretty familiar with that while I was working at school. And then they moved it clear out near Gilcrease Museum, and that's when I quit.
Did you know Thomas Gilcrease?
No, I didn't.
Did you know Mr. Phillips, Wade Phillips?
Oh, I knew who they were, but I didn't know them.
Yeah. Who were some of the prominent people that you knew in Tulsa?
Oh, I can't tell you that. I was a Presbyterian, and I knew Dr. Kerr, who was at the head of the church for a long time. And of course, I knew the present minister some, but not real well. And they say he's leaving. I mean, leaving the ministry. Of course, Central High School is just 2 blocks from the Presbyterian church, or was.
Tell me some of your favorite memories.
Oh, I don't believe I can.
Okay.
I've driven a car since cars were invented. That's true. The first cars, I learned to drive the first year I ever saw a car. And I drove until I came to the manor. And a niece and her husband came down to help me move, and goodbye car. I think I could still drive a car without any trouble at all.
What kind was your first car?
A Dodge, I guess. I never had a Ford, I know that.
Well,
We lived in the country, you know, that my early home was on a farm 4 miles from Carroll, and of course just a dirt road at that time. But my mother was a go-getter. Oh, she wanted so to drive a car, but she never did drive a car.
How come?
Well, we had lots of horses. She always had a good driving horse. I don't know how come. My dad never drove a car either, but I can't remember that it made much difference to him.
Yeah. Was your father in the Civil War?
No, he wasn't in war at all.
What about your grandfather?
My mother's grandfather was an immigrant from France. Grandpa Baskerville. And the other side of the family were immigrants from Ireland. So I'm an awful mixture. But none of them ever took part in the Civil War.
Well, I think we have a good interview.
Well, it's been a long time to rake up those memories.
What did the inside of Central School look like?
Of Central?
Yeah.
Well, it was real nice. The library there where I was most familiar was on the side facing the city, and it extended, with the exception of one room, clear across the front of the building. And we had a nice big library. We had an office, and I had a typist to do all that kind of work. And I was real happy at Central.
How come they moved Central?
Well, somebody wanted an office building downtown. Have you seen the building?
No, ma'am.
Well, it extends the whole block, the front of the building, and then about half a block to the back. And it's quite near the downtown section. There's quite a big garage place, just a half a block. I put my car there every day. And you know where the Presbyterian Church is?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's just one block that way and one block this way from the church.
Yeah. Why is Tulsa known as the oil capital of the world?
Well, that's because all the big men here are oil men.
Did you know any of them?
Oh, no, I didn't know any of them personally, I guess. Although, in a way, everybody, if you got acquainted with any businessmen here, and although I didn't very many, why, they had something to do with oil. There was a family that came from Iowa, and I got acquainted with the Dodds, and Mr. Dodd was an oil man, and I learned something from him. What's bothering you?
Ma'am?
I thought you kept looking at your hand.
Oh, no, no.
That'd be a good thing if I'd wash mine.
Well, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I'm about talked out, mister. I'm not much of a talker.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you.
Well, I still don't quite know what this is all about. Who's interested in
What are you all talking about early
Early Tulsa?
Tulsa?
Of course, she was a businesswoman and I was a teacher. Now, she could land on business.
Did you tell him how you drove down every year and
No,
you drove your car up until a few years ago before you came into the manor. And, but she has lots of prominent Tulsans that went to her at Central. Remember her?
I asked her who her favorite students were.
One person that paid her such a tribute was the Dodge man. What was his name? Elmer Clark.
Elmer.
No, what? Down here at 11th and Boston.
They still run the Dodge agency there.
Been in business here for years.
He went to Central and then
He put a big ad in the paper about one of his favorite teachers and everything.
Elmer Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, naturally, when you're in a building as long as that, you come in contact with some of the people in town that amount to something.
And you see such changes in the city and all.
Mm-hmm.
You never did get to go down to the old Central building, did you? After Public Service remodeled it, did you ever get
No, and I didn't want to.
Oh, it's beautiful. You'd really be proud
Inside?
of it. Yes, they did a beautiful job of it, and it makes you feel good to think that it's being used and everything.
So the building is still there?
Yes, the outside building. It was a beautiful building. And
I told him it was a block or so from the Presbyterian Church.
mm-hmm.
She's a Presbyterian too.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Favorite what?
Childhood memory.
Oh. I believe that mine is going to and from the country school every day.
Was that in Carroll County?
Yeah. And then, of course, at Christmas, why we had to go 4 miles to see the Christmas tree in town. And we went in an old sleigh, and Dad put a lap robe in the bottom with straw, and then he put us on that, and then he put the lap robe over us, and that's the way we got.
Tell him the sad Christmas story that you told me this year about the doll on the tree at the church.
Oh.
It's silly, but go ahead and tell him. He'd
Well,
get a
there's
kick out of
nothing.
that.
Well, of course, the church was in town. My dad was an elder in the church. And on Christmas Eve, we got into a sled on runners and drove 4 miles and went in, and there was a beautiful Christmas tree. But the sad part was there was a lovely doll, and when they called the name, it went to another little girl.
She had her heart set on that. I mean, she saw that doll and she really thought that was something.
I even remember the name of that family.
Yes, and
Nan.
she still resents that girl to this day because she got her the doll. She was telling me that this Christmas, and I thought that was so funny.
I can still see that little girl. She took my doll.
What was that story you all told a long time ago about the bread? Did you throw bread away in the going back and forth to town, or what was that story? When we had
Say,
the
you're hungry.
well, I can't remember. You know, we had a "This Is Your Life" one time at PEO, and you told a story, and I can't remember what it was. It was from your childhood. She could really bake good bread and everything.
Oh, I know.
You know what it
you're-
was? I can't remember.
We lived 4 miles from town, and of course we drove a horse and buggy. And my mother had left me to drive the horse and buggy into town, but she also left me with the bread to bake. And so I did the bread. It wasn't time yet. The bread wasn't light. So I just stuck it in the car, and I crossed the bridge with a nice river, and in went the bread.
Why? Because she had took it
I don't
right.
know why that made such an impression on you girls.
Well,
You saw what a rash person I was.
One more question. Can you tell me some of the home remedies your mother used whenever you'd cut yourself?
Oh heavens. Home remedies.
or you mean when they were sick or
Yeah.
something like that?
I remember the little bed where she put me to bed when I was sick, but I don't remember any remedies.
What'd you do for a cough? What would you take for a cough?
I guess I didn't call. Did you ever take any cough medicine?
Oh, yeah, I always did. When you missed school, what was usually wrong with you? A cold or something, or?
Well, you know, I'm remarkably free from diseases.
I know it, you're disgustingly healthy, and I suppose as a little girl, you never had those.
Well, I don't remember any serious illness I ever had. Even all around Western Europe.
In fact, she had never been to a hospital till this last winter. I think she had a little flare up and had to go in for some tests, and that was a new
You
experience
mean
for
after
her.
I was here?
Mhm.
Can you tell me any stories you heard of the big race riot
Here in Tulsa?
here in Tulsa?
You were here during the race riot. Do you remember any of the stories? That was before I came to Tulsa.
Was there a race riot?
Yeah, was it in the early 20s or
Yeah.
something?
Oh, I believe about the time I came to Tulsa. I came in the early 20s, and the date 21 pops into my head. I don't know if that's the right date. There was a Negro race riot.
Yes, that's the one he's talking about. Do you remember
No.
any incident? Did any of the black
I wasn't
children
here.
come to Central? Oh, that was before you came.
Yeah.
Well, after you came here, were there a lot of black students in
No,
Central?
no.
Oh, at that time, they all went over to the north
Well,
side.
you see, in 21, they built a Negro school.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You told me the other day, I don't know if you told this gentleman, you helped plan the library for that
Yes.
Negro high school over there.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was quite something.
Let's see.
But there were no Negroes in Central High School.
Tell me about the early 4th of July's, the celebrations on the 4th of July.
Well, you see, I never was here in the summer.
She went back to Iowa every
What
summer.
about back in Iowa as a child? What were the 4th of July's like?
Well, I really, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. I don't suppose Dad spent much on fireworks or anything like that. He was a pioneer.
Did they have a community celebration or something where
No.
you all would go to town
No.
and have a...
No, I can't remember.
You told me about the Christmas tree with the doll. Can you tell me the very first Christmas you remember?
Oh, heavens. Well, the Christmas I remember, of course, was the one I told you where we went to church and in a bobsled. And
Did you all hang up your stockings?
yes, we did. And Mother did some special baking. My mother was a wonderful cook. She should have been. She's one of 9 children.
I guess she had to feed all of that gang.
What kind of home did your father build on the farm?
A very nice home.
How large was it?
Well, it had 3 bedrooms and 3 big closets upstairs, and then we went up on a stairway. There wasn't any elevator. And downstairs we had a big living room and a dining room and a parlor bedroom and the kitchen. And we had a big home after he built a home. And we got our water from a well just outside the door, and you pumped it like that.
What about doing the laundry?
Do the laundry.
Yeah.
You ever, what's that board they use?
A scrub board or a
Yeah.
washboard or something?
Yeah, you see, you just have a tub, about 2/3 full of water, and put in this board, and
This old elbow
Yeah.
grease.
then hang it on the line. And we got our drinking water from a well just outside the back door. There was a pump and a handle, of course, and you lifted something and let down a bucket. Let it get full and then haul it up.
Did you have to walk to school in good weather, or was it very
Yes,
far?
we walked to school most of the time,
How far was it?
a mile.
Whenever you did the laundry, did you make your own soap, or did you buy it?
No, Mother made soap, I remember that,
Do you remember how she made it?
in a boiler. I remember a very big boiler. And then she let it harden and cut it with a knife into bars
What did she use to make it?
on the kitchen stove.
I mean, what did she use to make it in? What ingredients?
Oh, heavens. we bought something at the store in town. What would you buy to make
I
soap?
wouldn't have any
Probably
idea.
lie.
Yeah. I remember she put it in the boiler and cook it, and then it would harden and she'd cut it into blocks. I don't remember much of. And we had lamps on the wall in a night. You know, I think it'd be nice if I had one of those lamps yet.
You mean they had wall hanging lamps?
Well, yeah. It was something you fastened to the wall about 2/3 of the way up and set the lamp in it.
You had oil lamps then?
Hmm?
You had oil lamps?
Yes, kerosene.
Well, I think we have a good interview.
Well, I think this is interesting. I hope I haven't interfered with anything.
But you've helped it along.
Oh, I'm not.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Now, you must have had experiences that I wouldn't have on the farm. You never lived on a farm, did you?
No, I'm a city girl.
I
I wouldn't
kinda
have
thought-
any idea. I wouldn't have lasted on the farm.
I remember the house where I was born. The little window where the farm came peeping in at morn. It never came a bit too soon or brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had burned my breath away. On that last
She
sentence,
can just quote poetry. It's just amazing, I declare.
Have you written poetry?
no, not what you'd really call poetry. I've done jingles and in country school I used to do quite a bit of that sort of thing.
But she's given book reviews, beautiful book reviews, but I'm just
No.
amazed at this poetry, how she can remember that after all these years.
Oh my,
Did you,
almost 100.
did you study elocution?
No,
No. Could you recite some of the jingle that you've written?
oh, I can't do that. Helen, you
I
give me
didn't know you'd ever written any. I'd like to hear some if you have. I've got to go open this door. It's getting awful hot.
What are you up to?
I'm just trying to get some air in here.
Oh. Now you can leave that open.
So you can't think of a jingle that you wrote? I never have heard any of your original compositions.
I don't think you're about to either.
Okay,
Oh,
well, Miss
don't you
Martin.
know that I'm in my 90s now? I can't do things I used to do.
Well, Miss Martin, I want to thank you. I've enjoyed this.
Well, this is, I've lived almost 100 years, and this is my first experience of this kind.
It's interesting to talk to somebody that's
When
seen
they-
so much of transpire.
Mrs. Keller came down to tell me he was coming, and I couldn't figure out what in the world he was coming for, but now I know.